This one is huge as well. So in Georgian College, they have, this is in Ontario, they have a job posting and they have a person from HR sit with the posting and a person from HR sit with all the resumes that they're going to consider. And they go through each and every point on the posting to see if they're on the resumes. The person that has every point on the resume from the posting gets the first interview. That's how they work it. Can you imagine that? Do you know how often, who's here has applied to a job through a posting? Okay, what did you do? You got the posting in front of you.
Yeah, but I had the resume done before, so yeah.
Very common error. I've got a resume. Send it off. Did you get an interview?
Sometimes, yeah, but not a lot.
Okay, because keep in mind when you send out your resume, if you're not getting an interview, there's something wrong with your resume. It's a great tool for measuring whether or not it's a good one. Anybody else applied to a posting?
Yeah, sometimes I've cut out the job posting and pasted it into my resume and then tried to incorporate the phrases that the posting requires into the way I've described my skills. But that's partly because I know that some companies run software programs to do a first cut of resumes.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of thinking, if the software's looking for keywords, it's best to have them in there to at least get through to the human being that might then read it.
That's exactly the way it should be done. In fact, I gotta let me get that. Anybody else want to comment on a posting that they've looked at and tried to apply for that job? So let's then tell you how I look at a job posting. Stay. All right, normally it's the company and they have words about the company. I look in this component because they're trying to entice you. Come to our company, we're one of the top 500 or whatever. But the words I'm looking for are repetitive. So team, communication, anything like that that repeats itself, I highlight it. This is how important it is to them. Then they'll have generally, and this is if it's a good posting because you don't always get a good posting. So generally they will have duties and responsibilities, and they'll tell you what you'll have to do if you get this job. So a day in the life of this job looks like, okay? And they'll have lots of points for them. And then underneath that, my favorite, qualifications. If you don't meet what's in their qualifications, you have to ask yourself, why am I applying for this job? Hi, come on in. I'll get you to just sign your name, or not sign it, tick your name off, and if it's not on there, please do put it in and grab a feedback form. So I'm just going to move this over here. So back to the job posting. Qualifications will generally start with your education and then probably have years of experience that they're looking for. And I always get asked, what if I don't have the 5 years they're looking for? I've only got 2. It's different with each company. We've had panel sessions where industry recruiters will come and they'll be asked that question and there'll be 3 of them and all 3 will say something different. Yes, our company wants the 5 years. Yes, our company cares about the 5 years. They might look at 4. Well, our company really doesn't care if you have the 5 years. We're willing to look at 2. So it's a shoot. You're trying and you may not figure it out. That's why informational interviews are good. So you want to take those qualifications, and if they say, we want you to have a bachelor's degree in, anybody? What's yours in?
Biochemistry.
Biochemistry. And you've got a master's, or you're working on a master's in biochemistry, but you do have your bachelor's, then the first point in your resume, which is going to read highlights of qualifications, should be bachelor's degree, well actually just say BA biochemistry. They'll flip the page and see that you're also working on a master's, but you spoke to their job posting, okay? If you put a master's up there, is it a bad thing? I don't know, it depends on the company. Some companies will look at a graduate degree as a negative. You're overqualified. I really feel very, very sad for those people because I think they're really shutting the door to a lot of possibility here. Again, I think when you do an informational interview where you go and you approach the company before you ever look for a job posting and you introduce yourself to those people at the company, and they don't ask you anything about your graduate degree necessarily. They don't know whether you have one or not, but they might say, oh, well, we require a bachelor's in this for that. And you go, oh, I've got that. Then you have a conversation, and then when they find out you've got a master's or a PhD, they say, really, what enticed you to do that level of education? And then you have this huge conversation around that, and it's no longer a barrier, okay? You're still a person that's viable and can work this job easily. The question is, will you be happy at it? And if you can show the passion, then you're good. So your resume should post or be created completely to the job posting, where you look at every point that they've given and do the qualifications first, then you do the duties and responsibilities. So if you've done that type of work before, you let them know relevant skills for the job that you're saying I'm going to have to do every day. I've got the capability of doing that. And if they've mentioned team 2, 3, 4 times, you know how important that is to them. Communications, same thing. And I've actually just recently, and within the week, seen a posting that actually did not use the word communication in it. I was shocked, because that's the first time. I always say to students, you're not going to find a posting that doesn't have the words team and communication right in there. So I found one, so I can't say that anymore. Anybody that was in my last workshop will have seen this. And I like to point out, any oversimplification can create extreme inaccuracy. So this is generally the cost of hiring somebody before you ever make them an offer. Okay, and this is coming from a government website. So I trust it to be fairly true. It's probably skewed to some degree, but that's a humongous cost, right? $43,000 for an executive. My guess is, as I said in the last workshop, if you haven't been in that, they're probably using executive search firms, and that's why the cost is exorbitant, but they're also hiring high level, okay? So when you want to hire high level, there's more risk involved, and you take every precaution necessary. We've all seen and heard and read in the newspapers about executives that they didn't work out. Costs the company huge amounts of money. But I like the clerical support, even $3,300 before you hire a secretary or an administrative assistant. That's huge, right? When you think about what you're getting for that money. But the thing is, if you get a bad employee, that was worth it to pay this to avoid that.